Sure. I'm Major Sean Umbrell. I'm the Professor of Military Science here at the University of Kentucky's Army ROTC program.
Okay. So I have a few questions regarding to the ROTC program. So, why did you join the military?
Well, I joined the military when I was 17 years old, and I did it at that age simply because ever since I was a little boy, I just wanted to serve in the Army. It was something that interested me. My dad was a Navy veteran. My grandfather was an Army veteran, served in World War II. And all the way back to the American Revolution, I have ancestors who served in some way in the Army. So it was just something that I felt close to, something that I wanted to do. I did not know when I was 17 years old that I would make it a career, but I did. But that's why I joined.
Oh, sounds pretty interesting. Huh? What do your family and friends think about you, about joining the military?
My entire family was very supportive. My mom was hesitant when I was 17 to, let me join, but she knew that it was something that I really wanted to do, and I think she felt that it was something I would be good at. So, because I was not 18 years old and a legal adult, my mom and dad had to sign paperwork to let me join. So she did. She did that. I remember she cried a little bit, but I've been in for 22 years now, and my family is very supportive, and quite honestly, having been in the Army this long, most of my really close friends are also in the Army, so they, of course, think it's great.
Oh, that's awesome. So did you participate in any go serve outside the country, or?
Sure. When I was young, before the War on Terror started, I spent some time in other countries doing training exercises. I went to Panama, for example. I got to travel outside of the continental United States to Alaska for a training event up there. I have served in Afghanistan 2 times and in Iraq 2 times.
How does this change your life? Does it make any differences?
It has an impact. For me personally, I have other things in my life that I think had more of an impact on me, such as having children, being a father, being a husband. I think were more significant changes for me in my life than going overseas. I see going to Afghanistan and Iraq as part of what I do as being in the Army. And so while we had some challenging circumstances and some bad things happened while we were deployed, I'll tell you a lot of really good things happened too. Very encouraging things, working with the Iraqi people, working with the Afghan people. I learned a lot from them and really respect their culture. And so I think, to summarize it, I would say the biggest impact of deploying and going overseas was just a broader understanding of different cultures and just understanding people better.
So back in the years, did you learn different languages, or?
I tried.
You tried. Oh.
So I did. Most Americans in high school we're required to take some course. I've always said that I don't think that we do a very good job here of making our students become fluent in another language. We have to do it more for awareness. And so I personally have never learned another language. And I will tell you, I've met Afghan citizens who can speak 4 or 5 languages.
Wow.
And I've met Iraqi citizens who could do the same. I've met people from African nations and countries all over the world that can speak at least 2. And so I will tell you that I am often, I consider it, a shortcoming of mine to not have a second language. So it's something that I regret not being able to do.
Oh, that's understandable. I mean, America is the biggest country, so everybody for sure knows how to speak English if they don't know another language.
And with the debate has gone for Spanish-speaking Americans and making Spanish the official language in certain towns and cities within America. It's just a sign of the times that something that we probably need to focus a little bit more time on.
Totally understand. Okay, so what is your goal or dream that you want to get out from this program or military?
I'll tell you, really at this stage in my career, I feel like I've accomplished all the goals that I came in to. when I was a young cadet at the University of Toledo in the late 90s, I realized a new goal, and that was that if given the opportunity, I would like to be the professor of military science at an ROTC program, because I wanted to develop future Army officers, future Army leaders, like my mentors did when I was a young cadet, and I respected them so much. And so really sitting here in this chair at the University of Kentucky with this ROTC program really was one of my final goals. Now, there are more things I want to do in the Army. I want to command a battalion, but a lot of the goals I've already achieved. So it really, at this point, I can say that I grew up and did what I said I was going to do, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
So this is a place to help you to achieve your goals.
It is. This was one of my long-term goals.
Okay. What are the sacrifices you have to make to join this ROTC program back then?
Well, for me, I was single when I joined the program, and I was a kind of sociology within the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Toledo. I will not lie, my studies were not challenging. Academically, most things came fairly simple. I wasn't taking engineering, I wasn't in the hard maths and sciences. So ROTC didn't create a burden for me because of academics. I was able to do ROTC and do my academics. Now, I will say that was just my story. A lot of my peers that were in, say, the College of Nursing or in engineering degrees, they had to sacrifice a lot more than I did, because the time that they had to study was precious, and if they were spending time at ROTC, that was taken away from their ability. So they really had to commit themselves, and I had a lot of respect for them, and they were all successful and continue to be successful.
Sounds good. And what do you think about this community, this entire ROTC program right now?
Well, I'm really proud of the program here. I'm proud of our cadets, because much like the challenges that I saw some of my peers when I was a cadet facing, these kids face the same challenges, and sometimes even more. Education and the ways that we go about educating people changes all the time, and so we've raised the standard for education, and as a result, our students are spending most of their time studying for their academic degree, but they also want to become a commissioned officer. So they're challenged, but this program is on good footing. The cadre here are committed to the development of the future Army leaders, and the university officials, all the senior leaders that I've met here at the university, have been very supportive of what we do. So it makes me just really proud of what we accomplish here. Last year we sent about 20 new officers out to the Army. We're going to do the same thing next spring and the spring after that. So we get to contribute not just to what happens here at the University of Kentucky, but when our students depart here as Army officers, they contribute sometimes to the global efforts in a variety of things, whether it's business or the military. It's a great thing to see happen.
Yeah, it just made me more interested in this program. Okay. What are some benefits you can get from this community?
Well, I'll tell you, in addition to the immediate benefits that you can get through an Army ROTC scholarship or what we call a stipend, if you're a contracted cadet, we pay between $300 and $500 depending on your military science level, whether you're a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or senior. We pay them a monthly stipend that helps them pay for their bills. We give scholarships away. Sometimes they're matched room and board. So there's immediate benefits. The long-term benefit, though, is that whether or not our cadets graduate and go on to be long-term career Army officers or they just do a couple years and get out, we believe that they go out to the world and they're just better leaders in general, whether they're in the business community or the military community. And we can walk later and I'll show you our Hall of Fame. Many of the ROTC alum from UK didn't make their career in the Army. They did 1, 2, 3 years in the Army, got out of the Army, and then started their own businesses, or they've made it to the rank of CEO for major corporations. And so we know that some of that is a result of the leadership skills that they learned here at Army ROTC.
So overall, like people who participate in this program have better achievement like afterwards?
Yeah, we believe so. part of our mission, beyond just developing future Army officers, is to develop leaders for the community, wherever they serve. Many of the students who come through Army ROTC will elect not to finish the program. They'll leave here with 2 years of ROTC classes, but because we put them in leadership positions, because we challenge them as leaders to make decisions in stressful situations, we know that we help develop the skills that will make them successful as a manager in a company or the leader of some nonprofit organization. Wherever they go, we know they'll be better leaders.
Just 3 things.
I'm gonna have to take this.
Oh, okay, it's okay. So I just thought of one more question.
Sure.
What kind of trainings do you guys do here at
We
ROTC?
do a variety of training. We focus with our freshmen and our sophomores what we call basic level training events, skill level 1, skill level 2. There's just terms that we use in the Army, but it's the skills, the basic fundamentals that any soldier would need, whether or not he or she is an officer, a non-commissioned officer, or a lower enlisted soldier. We teach the skills so that everybody has common skills to go to. So I'll give you an example. Yesterday, our underclassmen were doing medical training, first aid tasks, how to carry wounded soldiers and those sorts of things, basic level. Then the upperclassmen, they do more tactical decision-making type events, such as platoon movements and those sorts of things in a tactical situation. We do land navigation training, orders development, the planning processes. So everything from very basic skills to organizational leadership management training. We do a whole gambit, a wide variety.
Okay, so I heard it's 3 days a week. Do you guys all do different things, or?
We do. We have different classes that are in the classroom for each military science level, freshmen through seniors. They each have a different class. And those classes occur twice a week for all freshmen through senior. They have 2 classes a week. On Wednesdays, we have our lab that goes for 2 hours. During the lab, that's when we do the hands-on training, practical exercises based on whatever the topic for training is. And then 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we do physical training that starts at 6 o'clock in the morning.
I heard when I got up at 6 for morning classes, I saw you guys running out there. I was
Jump
like,
in.
wow. And okay, what is the hardest part of being in the ROTC program?
I think it goes back to when you asked the question about sacrifice.
Okay.
So I think the most challenging part is what is it for the individual cadet who's in the program? What is he or she having to sacrifice? And all of them have to sacrifice something.
Yes.
Everybody sacrifices time. Some people sacrifice more. But because our cadets know that it's shared sacrifice, I think it brings them closer together, even though it is something that they have to endure. I think that's the most difficult thing.
That's true. So what motivates you to stay in the program? Or it's your family, or?
Well, for me to stay with the Army, really, it's this was my career of choice. I love being able to develop future leaders. I love in different environments to help lead an organization. I was most recently, before I came here, I was in an organization that was about 5,000 soldiers in a brigade, and I was the executive officer for that brigade. So I felt that daily I was having some impact for the greater organization that everybody benefited from. Now, here for our cadets, each one of them will have something else that satisfies them or what they take away from the program. But for me as a career, it's just the satisfaction of getting to do my job and having somebody give me the flexibility to do my job 110%. That's what I enjoy.
Exactly. So, if you have a chance to start it all over again back then, were you still choosing this path, or
I would not change a thing. I truly would not. I tell people this all the time. I sometimes wonder where I would be right now if I had chosen another path, and I can't think of one that I just say, boy, I wish I had done that. I'm very satisfied. I still enjoy coming to work every morning. It's not a drag for me.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy getting up and putting on the uniform. I enjoy interacting with people. I enjoy telling my Army story, my experience, because I think a lot of times people don't realize the opportunities that exist in the Army. And I'd say the same for the Navy and the Air Force, the Marines. All have great opportunities for leadership, for progression, future development, and I hope to transition from the Army when I retire into a civilian job. And I want to take the skills that I've learned in the Army and help make me as good in the civilian sector and enjoy that job as much as I've enjoyed this job.
True, I understand. And so, do you feel any different than the other people, especially when you put up the uniform, you're in the Army, and you walk on the street? Do you feel any difference?
I don't feel different, though I recognize in this environment that I may stand out. I think some people do see themselves different, belonging to a different community, but because I've been married for 15 years, I have 2 children, the oldest one is 12, I get to be a part of many other things than just the Army. So I feel as much a part of the community, I think, as maybe my neighbor who has been a professor at Eastern Kentucky University for several years now. I feel as much a part of the community as he does. And so I don't feel completely different, though I do know, just by the nature of the uniform, I might stand out. But I feel as part of the community as anybody else.
That's pretty impressive. I know, because I know a lot of people that I think they're big, and then they feel they're like, I don't know, higher than the other people.
Sure.
So,
and we had to be really careful about that. We don't have special rights and privileges because we're soldiers. It doesn't give us some new status in society. I will tell you that there are a lot of professionals out there who are not in the military who sacrifice as much or more as soldiers do in commitment to their job to help the people that they serve. And so there's no special status for this, and we have to remind ourselves of that all the time. The nation has been really good to us over the last several years because of the service in Afghanistan and Iraq, and we appreciate that, but I certainly would say it doesn't make us any better or more worthy than any other citizen.
So I met a lot of friends who are in this program. I heard you guys have a lot of rules, like you can't use your cell phone while you're walking, and what are the rules that you guys have, or strictly, kind of strict? Because for us, we'll use our cell phones. Nowadays, the technology is getting more common, so we don't even talk to each other anymore. But I think those rules actually help them to develop their personality.
I agree with you. We do have certain restrictions we place on the use of cell phones when you're in uniform. We believe that it presents an unprofessional appearance. If I'm in uniform and I'm identified as a soldier, people that don't know me will make assumptions about the Army based on how I act. While one of my tags on my uniform says Umbrell, the other one says United States Army. And so I'm a representative of the Army, and I have to remember that. So we try to be respectful. If I'm walking down the road texting and not looking you in the eye when I walk past and say good afternoon, I miss an opportunity to make an impression on you. So we want to make good impressions on people when we can. The other thing is, if we're in a training environment, we want to avoid distractors from the training. And oftentimes, cell phones or computers, different handheld devices, will cause a distraction when we're trying to get something important out of the training event. So there's a variety of reasons why we do that. We have rules about how we dress for uniformity's sake. You shouldn't see one soldier looking completely different from another soldier. It just goes back to the individual soldier discipline and being able to take the time to adhere to certain standards. I will tell you, most of the standards are not a challenge to meet. Some people wrestle with it. But all the restrictions we have in place there's a very specific reason for it.
Okay. And I know a week ago it was really hot back in Lexington, but those people had to dress up and sit there sweating.
Sure.
So can they just ease it down a little bit if nobody?
We do. So we take the well-being of soldiers into account for everything that we're doing. Before we do any training, we consider the weather conditions that will be in effect during that training event. We think about safety hazards that may be involved with the type of training we're doing. So we implement measures to make sure that everybody is safe during the training. So you brought up the point of the hot weather. So in recognition of that, in order to mitigate risk of becoming a heat casualty, we allowed the students to unblouse their boots, to roll their pants up a little bit, to uncuff their sleeves. That allowed air to flow more. And if conditions would have worsened, we could have downgraded by taking off the top and just wearing the t-shirt. We stop periodically and make sure that people are drinking water, that they're getting rest in the shade. So we make mitigations for every hazard that we can identify.
Okay, that sounds better. Because I thought like in the military, like people are so strict, like you can't do such and such things no matter in what conditions.
Sure, but we consider too, even if it's hot outside, if the training event that we're doing requires them to crawl on the ground in a simulated combat environment, and we're trying to teach them, proper movement techniques when under fire. If we let them go in short sleeves, we could cause more damage than by saying no, keep your long sleeves on because we don't want your skin to get cut or something like that.
Exactly. So, what are some advices you would give to like the other people who don't know this program or who are waiting to know this program? What are some advices?
The first advice I would give is come see what we have to offer. Freshmen can come in, they can take the class. University of Kentucky gives elective credit for taking the class, and there's no commitment whatsoever to the Army. You're coming in, you're taking the class for elective credit at the university. You're going to learn a little bit about the Army. Not until you move into your junior year are students required to contract and make a commitment to the Army. So we encourage anybody and everybody that wants to learn about what we do at ROTC to come take the class. And even if you can't do that, come visit. Come watch our soldiers, our cadets during the lab. Come meet with me. Come meet with our enrollment officer and ask questions so that they can learn a bit about it. But most importantly, talk to our cadets. Our cadets are full-time college students who are enjoying their experience at the University of Kentucky. And they would have so many stories of why they enjoy it that they could help you or others come find out a little bit more about what we do.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. There's some experience that you don't get it until you experience it.
Sure, absolutely.
So, and what kind of job opportunities that you guys offer after the training program?
When a student graduates from Army ROTC and is commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Army, he or she will be branched into one of several career fields. I'll give you an example. I'm an infantry officer, but there are 15 or 16 other career fields that you could go into. Aviation is one of them. Medical services is one of them. Engineering. And the list goes on and on. So there are a wide variety. Anything that you could think in any organization that's needed to help organizations run, we have it in the Army.
So it's meaning more like a leadership thing.
Absolutely. We're training our cadets to be leaders, but they will also go out and help manage large organizations. So leadership, while we need very solid leaders who are capable of making ethical decisions, we also need them to be good managers of time and resources, because what we get comes most of the time from taxpayer money. So we got to be good stewards of those resources. So we also train management as well.
Okay. So what are the requirements to sign up for this class, like this course that you have?
To sign up for the class, you just need to be a student at the University of Kentucky. Beyond that, to do more into ROTC, there are certain restrictions. So to be contracted with us, you have to be a U.S. citizen to be an Army officer. There's many other standards that have to be met. To continue the program, you have to maintain a minimum of a 2.0 GPA. You have to pass the Army physical fitness test that's graded on a 300-point scale. You have to be able to pass that test with 180 points. We have for scholarships, for example, requirement to apply for a scholarship is a 2.5 GPA. That doesn't mean that with a 2.5 you'll get the scholarship, but that's the minimum standard you must meet in order to apply for it.
Okay.
So there's medical requirements that have to be met. We would send applicants to receive a physical if they wanted to be contracted into our program. There's no requirement for that if you're just a participant and you want to come enroll in the class. Okay. So it depends on what your intent is with the program. Depends on what the standards are.
Okay, so do you guys specialize? Like, if some students want to go to the Navy afterwards, do you like specialize training them to go to navies, or just like general common
We
training?
do not. What we do is specifically for the Army. There are programs in place that if you complete our program, that you could transfer to another service. But those agreements are based on the standards for that other service in the event that the Army would release the individual. Now, having said that, let's say, for example, I was a Navy veteran, got out of the Navy and came to the University of Kentucky and started my studies here, but decided I wanted to be an Army officer. I could do that. And I think it's the same for the other services. So each case would be based on its individual situation, and we would just have to look. But we specifically target our leaders for the Army. That's who we are commissioning officers for, the Army.
Okay, because the reason I ask, because I saw some people that dressing up like Air Force uniform.
Sure.
So
and we do have the Air Force ROTC program here at UK as well. The Air Force ROTC program is on the second floor.
Okay.
And they have a lieutenant colonel who runs their program, and they have a staff up there as well. So we're two distinctly different programs that work together on a lot of events with the same goal: developing future leaders for our branch of service.
Okay, sounds good. I just want to join this next semester, hopefully.
Yeah, good.
I think that's all my questions.
I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking.
Thank you.